Hey everyone, Karen the Warp Spinster here. Welcome to my channel and thank you for being here. Last week we played with this gumball. What did I call it? Gumball gumbo. I have some other ideas for a gumball gumbo, which we will perhaps explore at another time. But as I was thinking about past videos and rummaging through my orphan blocks, which is where I put explorations I've started. They aren't necessarily going to be orphan, it's just how I file them. I ran across these two pieces, which we did a while ago, and I will find that video somewhere and put a link in the description for you. I thought that these might be kind of an interesting addition to this. The green isn't quite as bright, but it might be all right in the total context when we get finished. I feel an Alice quilt coming on. By the way, I'm about halfway finished with the facing on Alice, so you can see her in all her finished edge glory before too long. But I think it might be good, even if I don't use these two pieces in particular. I think I like the concept with this black background and then the bright colors in the center with the black and white in the middle. I think it's a good foil to all of this bright going on. So I think that's a good possibility. And then there are also some pieces that I created which wouldn't fit in. They've got a white background, so they aren't going to, well, I don't know. At this point, it doesn't seem like they would fit in this context, but I think there might be some value in the form and the process that could be adapted so that it has, say, a black background or the bright background. So I have a gazillion, that's an exact number, a gazillion of these from my wormhole quilt. And I think that something like this, maybe not this plain, maybe this plain, I don't know. I ran into these in my drawer the other day. I really have a lot of things stashed that I need to either decide I'm done with them or put them into a mishmash quilt or something. But I think this could be a good idea. And I have a lot of these, so I could do something with just simple black in the middle and then brights on the outside. And probably wouldn't be that wide necessarily, but something like that. And then in some videos which you have not seen, I came up with some other things here, and I ended up not posting the videos because I didn't like these when I was finished. But now that I look at them, I kind of do like them. I don't know why I didn't like them. I definitely like this one. It's such a cute little leaf shape, isn't it? Apparently I'm into leaf shapes, although this looks more like, I don't know, kind of a bird in flight without wings. Whatever, I'll leave that up to you, what do you think it looks like. So I did keep the videos thinking maybe someday, I don't know, and I think today is the day because construction continues next door. I think we have the roof on now, so we don't have pounding the shingles on, but they are doing, I don't know what over there today. It's kind of like construction, the musical. Periodically, they just break out into these raucous construction kinds of noises. So to be on the safe side, I'm just going to show you the videos from these. And that way you won't have to listen to the construction musical going on next door. So I hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think and what you might do to add to this, what things you would like to add to this. I'm apparently still on black and white for the moment anyway, and I have these pieces that are left over from another project I'm working on, which I'll show you a little later probably. But this looks like an eye to me. And, or, I mean, it could be a leaf, but you don't see too many black leaves, at least healthy black leaves. So I want to see if there's something I can do that will make this look not like an eye to me. I don't know. we're going to give it a try. And so I will just cut my curve here. I'm going to turn this so that, you know what? Let me, as long as we're doing improv stuff, I'm going to do a couple of slices here. Maybe this will break up the eye look of it. And let's insert some color in there. And I know there are some print folks out there who've probably been frustrated that I haven't been doing prints. So let me pull some out, do some strips, which of course is going to affect everything, but the shape of this and everything, but it's all right. We can deal with that. I have a pink polka dot and a yellow and pink, I guess, stripe. I don't know what I'm going to do when I run out of this set of stripes. I think these are Tula pink, and because I love them and I just keep using them. Might try to just stick to this color scheme today just so we aren't having to deal with too many options. As you can tell, I'm not ready to make a lot of decisions today. I just want to go with the flow. All right, this should actually be wide enough this way, so I'm going to cut this and stitch that on there, and then just, I don't know what kind of angle I'm going to do on that. Could do perfectly straight, could do an angle. And then this one may not be wide enough that way, so I don't want to waste fabric, but I want to have enough. So we'll set those aside, and no, I won't cut it yet. Anyway, I will get this started and then we'll come back and make some decisions from there. All right, I have both of those stitched to the center piece, and now I just have to decide what I want to do here. And it's going to be pretty random anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I am using white thread here. And the reason is because black thread can shadow through, and I know things shadow through this yellow, and they might on pink. If white thread, if I happen to see a couple of threads peeking out from a piece of black, I can always hide that with a permanent black marker, like a micron or something. I cannot whiten something effectively if there's a black thread showing through. All right. I'm kind of seeing a pale Minnie Mouse with this pink polka dot. All right, maybe it's the black ears. I'm going to sew them at about this angle, and then we'll see what kind of curve we come up. I'm trying to move this so I give myself a little bit of a seam line there, seam allowance. And then this one is, not that this is scientific by any stretch of the imagination. And put these pieces on, and then we'll come up with some kind of curve that we're going to cut into the white. Your guess is as good as mine. We have quite an interesting shape here. And a few leftover pieces. This piece too small, it would get lost in seam somewhere. This has a possibility, might be something later on in our explorations. And remembering we started out with this, I'm now going to cut a curve, and I'll grab my glove so I don't make anyone nervous. And sort of cut as some kind of curve here. And I'm going to leave this to trim later. So we have something different than what we started with, which I think is always fun. And now I need to cut a curve into here. And I want to give myself some room on either side. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in the end with this, so I want to have some leeway after I get this curve sewn. So I'm just going to, let's move this up a bit. Just going to cut along this curve. Got my klutz glove on, and now I'm going to mark where it starts. I want to sew with the convex. Sorry, I've been out of frame here. So down here, move this all at once, I think, without losing where I am. So down here, because I want to sew this with the convex on top, I want to mark where it starts so that I don't lose track of that. And now we have a piece left over. And it's going to be easier to sew the curve if I do that. And that curve is ready to be sewn. So I will do that again. I'm just going slowly, needle down, convex on top. Stop and adjust the fabric if I need to. I'm just lifting it over gently. I'm not tugging on it or stretching the bias. All right, I have pressed this toward the convex because this would have caused just all kinds of bleed through here, which makes it a little less smooth curve because I've got all of those seams tucked in there, but I just didn't want that to show through there. Now the reason that I raised it further up on this strip is because of this, that the take up is enough that I knew, and this was not straight to begin with, I knew that this was not going to end up being straight. So if I had this flush here and I wanted to cut that straight, if I didn't have this extra white here, then my only option would be to chop off a bunch of that, and I didn't want to do that. So at this point, this may not be the angle I want it to be at, but I'm going to trim this so that I have as many options as possible. So got another piece left. I just create more scraps all the time. I'm sure you're the same way. All right, so there's a possible piece. Could be a turtle, could be a ladybug. Now we have another piece. What do we want to do with that one? Shall we leave that one plain maybe? That's not gonna be big enough for that. Here's another, oh, here's something we could do. Let's cut this one this way and insert, I don't know, I'm liking this yellow today, so let's insert some of this yellow in there. And in case I want to insert something more, I'm going to cut this in half so I can have another strip later. And then I'm just going to stitch this, add this on, and then we'll come back and cut it into a white strip. Looking at this piece, you could make some fun fish out of these, couldn't you? This one's kind of a flying fish. He's got little wings on back here. So I need to trim this off and then do some sort of curve with that. I might plan to just cut that one off there. Now it really looks so much like a fish to me. And maybe that's what we should do, is just do some flying fish. Then cut this into a curve. So let's trim this up a bit. Are you still with me? I have this feeling I'm just going to be sewing alone by the end of this. All right. And then we need a curve of some sort. And I think I may cut, now I was going to say I might cut the curve. Well, that one I know is going to be, I have some limits here on the curves I can do. But now I can, which one do I want to base it on. I'll give myself some room here. I'm off camera again, aren't I? All right, so let's do this curve here. Put some more room, plenty of room over there. Whoops, sorry about that. I guess nobody claimed improv, well, nobody that I've heard anyway, claimed improv was perfectly efficient use for fabric. Undoing convex on top. Okay, so I will sew this, and that's wrong. That's completely wrong. All right. Here's where we're going to sew it. This way. I'll get my act together. I know you all were saying, what the heck are you doing? So I'm going to put it about there, and I'll be needing to mark this as the start. I don't know if that's the actual start, but that's what we're going to call it, since I messed up with that. It really would be helpful if I could hear you all shouting at me when I'm doing something goofy. Brought you in a little closer, so it's even more likely I'm going to go out of frame. Now I have a couple of choices here. This is going to have to be cut straight, but I have a choice of, do I want to make another curve of this and have it look like somebody giving you the side eye, or do I want to somehow attach these two? And I'm actually kind of liking this shape, where these two sort of meet up and you've got a almost serpentine out. Looks like a bird. It's the flying fish. And I can move this over as far as I like. So that means I'm going to need to trim this so that I have a straight seam line there. And this is plenty long, but all right, I gotta make sure that all of this is going to be trimmed off, so I can actually go deeper there. And there we are. So now I have a piece. I just have to decide how far I want these apart. This is probably, I'm going to make this a pretty scant seam because there isn't a lot of this one left. When I come back, I'm going to zoom out so I'm not constantly out of frame. I know how annoying that can be. You just want to scream at the person, pay attention to where you're at. I did take a narrow seam. Now this has to be trimmed here in some direction or other, so I can slant it or keep it straight. And just for the sake of, I don't know, I'm going to trim it at that angle because I'm just winging it. It's a wing it day. And there's an interesting shape. I don't know what I would call it, but it's an interesting shape. I even kind of like that little piece of black peeking out there. Now it looks to me a little like a snail, or the head of a blackbird of some sort. All right, now I think I do not want to subcut or splice that again. As you may recall, one of my inclinations is often to just slice something and put something through the middle, but I think we've done enough slicing and dicing on this, at least on this part of it. Maybe something will happen with the white background, but I think that's it for this. Now we have another one of these left. And let's try pull out some more white and doing this as, oh, what if we shift it? What if we shift it? So it would be like this, but shift it this direction. Okay. So it doesn't have to be in the middle. I'm going to split it there. Let's use some pink, because we've got a lot of yellow in that one. And what I want to do is splice it like that. Do I want another piece of pink there? Do I want that to be white? I'm going to do this piece first, cut that curve, and then I'll have to do another one, which maybe will be the yellow. Piece that curve and then put them together, shifted. I think that's what I'm seeing. Once again, if only I could hear you. I've got a little bit of a curve into that so that I can cut that into this spare white piece, which who knows what will, no, I think I'm going to pull out some more white strip so that I'm not constantly adding curves to that piece. This glove today is having the added benefit of that I just split my nail down to the quick on one thumb, so it's helping to keep me from splitting it even further. All right. Was Brillig in the Garden Glow. I am going to piece this as is and take it from there. We'll do something after this gets pieced. I don't know what yet. Now I'm on the whole garden and Brillig thing. I like this fine, and I think it will work in there. I almost want another little creature here, and then kind of, well, maybe not there. I want to build a little bit of a garden with these creatures in it. So if you remember the Jack and the Beanstalk leaves that I did, I think I might do something like that, maybe on a smaller scale, and start to put these with that. So it's not going to be a big quilt, but more than just this. One of the things I like about improv, and I probably do it differently than a lot of people do, is looking to see what I see in it, a story in it, I guess. Must be the librarian in me. And then want to build around that. There are people who do it based on shape and design and composition, and they do beautiful stuff, just gorgeous stuff. That tends to not be the way I go about it. Sometimes I like what I end up with, and sometimes I don't, and sometimes I'm just telling a goofy story. So I'm going to pull out one more of these. I think this is going to figure in somewhere. I'm just not sure which. And maybe do another splicing like this. This was, I like it, but it was, you've just lost so much. So maybe something medium size here. We'll do Goldilocks in the garden under a Brillig glow. That'll do it. That'll just cover all our bases, right? So now my plan is to either make one larger than this or one in between these two sizes. I think I'm going to have this one going this direction. This one's going that way. This one's non-committal. Much like me, is just not making a lot of decisions today. So I'm going to sew these together, and of course that will have to be trimmed up because I went a little wild on the white stuff here. So shift this over a bit, stitch that, and we'll be back to think about some leaves. So we have some slithy toves and I don't know, a slithy tove cocoon or something. And next we will be working on the garden aspect of it. So leaves next. I don't know. I feel like we should be naming these guys. That's it for this week. I hope to see you next week. And in the meantime, be well, be safe, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.